Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 27th, and we had a nice little spike the other day, but we were starting to get to a peak, and we faded a little bit off of it as we saw short-term buyers fading. Still holding up pretty decent. We know that we got almost into the overbought with the yellow appearing here. It's going to ease off just a little bit, and like I mentioned before, without shorts, because we saw the massive move lower with the cyan here on the DSC, that it's not as easy to keep price moving higher, and that becomes a problem, and that's where the short cover rallies tend to really produce some nice returns, because they really elevate price quicker. And so it's going to take gaps more likely when you have this kind of stall. Of course, you got the new tax plan, those kinds of things been announced. The question is, will it go anywhere, and what kind of reception will it get? As far as the euro goes, still holding strong. The expectation of Macron winning in France is going to alleviate things. However, you got to keep your eye out for the Greek setup. That's going to come back to haunt. You can see we're just now getting to the plus 13.5. That's going to cause a little bit of retrace. We can see what the retrace levels are going to be, just filling back in those positive extremes. Nothing too dramatic. And we're at the bottom side of the stabilized range. Not a big deal as far as euro at this particular point, but it'll come back to excitement time with it, not too distant future. We had the breakdown of TLT below green at 122.15 range. Came right back up to it. It's still going to be suspect play. It obviously gained some momentum as the market faded later in the day, but we'll see. It's just a question of, is there really inflation built into this setup, or are we looking at a deflationary? I think there's big arguments both sides of that story. We're not seeing necessarily the growth, and if we don't see the growth, then the rally in bonds makes sense. Oil, again, massive supplies. We had that oversold, but there wasn't anything that indicated that we were going to move to buy signal on it. Though the orange is moving down, so we may even get one fairly close here. They may take out the lows, and that would be enough to turn it around. So we'll see how that plays out. The problematic part of it is with the rising steel. Sometimes when you get into those peak levels, you start to get a taper off, and it's a little bit slower from an uptake standpoint. But the massive inventories, the amazing capacity of the industry to refine has just been staggering. And here we go with gold. We ended up with that move above the 13.5. We saw some weakness going in there. Like I said, the opportunity to buy, that we'd like this no matter what. And that's just because there's some built-in question marks as to whether or not bonds make any sense relative to global concerns, and particularly with the heat up of war and things like that. Natural play is to have some gold set aside. My chart's a little askew here. Let me slide that over. So it was an interesting day. There's some nice signals from not just the buys that happened, but those peaks right at the key points with the plus 13.5. It's very clean shakeout, dipping below, flat on our Azure line and that, and boom, we dipped all the way below the 50%. So you have your run up 100%, retrace just below the 50, right in time for a new buy signal. Though that took place a little bit after, I would have, and I did jump in right above that 50% point, since we were seeing extreme dip of the green to that minus 22 range, 23 right there that I have marked on there, and that usually has a little bounce back. From my standpoint, then above that 50% becomes a buy. Regardless, and sure enough. But from there, even when it was at the higher point, still came back a little bit, and then boom, made new highs. But then right towards the peak again, did the same thing. Now this time it shot back up, got right back up to that 100% category before it started to fade off again. And then it stayed in just like a malaise, and we just had this flat readings doing nothing pretty much, and then finally started to break down. And then once it broke down, we got into a super oversold. Didn't put in a buy until right here at the very end, pre-market. We've retested those lows. Not usually thrilled when you see the steel up that high when you get buy signals. Typically what you want to have is steel in a mid-range, like over here where it starts to propel. Same thing over here when they're neutral, particularly even below the zero line is really nice. So it's got to reset itself, and you can see that's exactly what it's doing right now, and that usually creates a little bit of weakness. So all in all, holding pattern. I think we're going to get the end of month trade right in about now, putting together the final adjustments to more of the indicator adaptations, and we'll be sending out that information for next month. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk to you later.